Hello, I'm throwing a piece here. The view you see on the screen there is the piece when it was finished, and then on the right side it's finished also. Just to give you an idea what the finished part or thrown piece looks like. Here I am throwing the clay down. This has been wedged and de-aired. It's got the right consistency as far as moisture. So I just slap it on down on the bat there. I use bats that I make myself. They're actually a particle board with countertop material glued to the top of them. Then they have the edges round off so they're smooth and they last a long time. And they have alignment pins on the bottom that line up with the bat, so I can pull the whole piece off with no problem. They're not too difficult to make. I just buy the particle board, cut out the circles on the countertop, use a special glue, glue it down, pack them down pretty tight, stack them up all together, and there are no bubbles. They're pretty smooth and pretty level. So here I am. I've centered the clay. I'm starting to open it up a little bit. I pulled the clay up and down a few times, made sure there were no bubbles or anything in it. It felt nice and smooth. So then I started to spread it out here, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm just sort of working on the base. I'm checking the base thickness here. I don't do that all the time, but just want to make sure with this piece here that it's not too thin. It would be a little bit of a bummer to finish a piece and find out you only have 1/8 of an inch of clay at the bottom. You would probably get a S crack or something like that in it. But anyway, it's a little bit of thickness, and when it's leather hard, I'll be able to clean it up with a little recess there so it won't rock. It'll just touch 3 points and not wobble or anything when it's sitting there. So I just compressed the base. I'm starting to do the first pull on it here, pulling it up, tapered it in a little bit to the middle. Both hands are working together here. As you can see, I make contact with both hands. That just, for me at least, helps me relate to how the thickness there between the two fingers each time I pull it up. Now, some pieces it's a little more difficult depending on the size or the shape of the piece. But in this case here, I'm making contact with both fingers, whether it just be my thumb to my hand. On the outside, I'm doing both the inside and the outside hand are working on the thickness of the wall. This piece is going to be spread out, so I'm trying to keep a little bit of material there all the way up to the top. I don't want it too thin. As you can see on the right side, it spreads out quite a bit. So if I pull it up too thin, then I would have a real problem keeping the piece stable as it's spread out quite a bit more and making the clay thinner. So here it looks like the level is nice and smooth for the top level. I'm compressing down that inside corner and spreading the base out on the inside a little bit there. Here I am just compressing down that outer surface, and then I'm starting to spread this out. So you can see I'm using the inside hand to push it a little bit out, and then the rib on the outside compresses the clay a little bit. Sometimes I've used my fingers both inside and outside, but it seems like for me it's always best to use a rib on the outside and let the inside control the thickness. The outside more or less controls the shape or how that clay, when it's being pushed, how that clay takes its shape. Using that little rib, as you can see, the rib itself, it kind of tilts with the angle I want on the surface. So here I'm starting to do another soft pull on this clay. Just going to change the shape a little bit. There's not a lot of real heavy shape as far as pushing it out or anything. I'm just smoothing out the curves, making sure there's a nice transition so the piece just sort of flows gracefully from the top to the bottom. There's not little jags and bumps and everything in it. So here I'm cleaning up the base, taking some of that extra clay. It'll dry out a lot quicker this way. So I'll just clean that up with a couple of tools. Now with the chamois, I'm just going to round off that inner edge of the lip there. Make sure it feels like it's concentric or set it pretty smoothly, and it'll make the lip itself pretty smooth. Here I'm compressing just a little bit of the inside again, making sure that base transition from the base of the pot to the wall is a nice, smooth, graceful curve. That scene that showed up in the upper right is the piece when it was done with the throwing, a small version of the pot. So here I'm just doing a few more little touch-ups with the rib. Same thing here, just a few little touch-ups, real Real soft little touches. In this piece here, I'm actually making that curve a little bit larger, so it's just a real smooth curve right up to the base of the lip. This piece, when it's done, will be allowed to go to leather hard, leather dry. Then it will be stained. It'll be relief carved, and then it'll be fired in my scut kiln to cone 5. And this is pretty much this piece completed as far as the throwing.